customers on the individual insurance market. We've destroyed the individual insurance market without any increase in coverage that was intended by the early 90s reforms. Part of the reason is when you have guaranteed issue, the guaranteed issue makes policy so expensive that just like when you lop on so many mandates, it makes the policies too expensive. People can't afford them. So you have the right to purchase insurance from anyone you want when you go to the insurance company, but the insurance company has no obligation to make that at an affordable price. So they can say, we'll sell you a policy, but it'll cost you $25,000 a year. What good is a right if you can't redeem it? And you can't redeem it if you can't afford the policy. Guaranteed issue is one problem. The community, the other problem with guaranteed issue is sick people or healthy people tend not to buy that expensive insurance because they're healthy. They don't need it. But if you develop type 2 diabetes in your 40s or your 50s and health insurance is something that you really need now, well then you run to the insurer and buy it. And even an expensive policy might be a good deal for you if you can afford it, because you'll spend less on your premiums, even if it's $12,000, $15,000, $18,000 a year than you will on your treatment if you have to pay out of pocket. The problem is you haven't been paying into the system since you were 22 or 25 or 30. And the insurance company's not making any money off you. The point of insurance here is to pool risk among people of all different ages and socioeconomic classes. And if you're paying in early, the insurance company can, even if it's a low premium, they can take the money, they can invest it, they can cover the losses they're experiencing with people who are older. What guaranteed issue does is allow people to wait until they get sicker or older or both, then buy insurance. Now the system doesn't work without astronomically high health insurance premiums. Community rating, same thing. You're giving people who are young and healthy the lives that insurance companies want to insure. You're making it too expensive for them to get into the pool because you're artificially inflating the cost of the insurance to them. So you're not using that 20-something who's hanging out in Wayne, perfectly healthy, and would be happy to pay maybe $500 or $800 a year to have coverage for catastrophic illnesses. That money isn't being used, invested, put in the pool, and covered for the people who are really sick. So there are real problems with those mandates and the way we've structured health insurance in the state, and the results are startling. If you were in your 20s in Wayne and you wanted to go out, a single person wants to go out on the market and buy health insurance from a company, you'd pay in the neighborhood of $2,400 to $2,500 a year for your most basic coverage. High deductibles, high co-pays, but your most basic coverage, about $2,500 a year. If you went to suburban Pennsylvania, just across the river, because Pennsylvania has a different set, they don't have guaranteed issue, they don't have community rating, they have fewer mandates than we do, the same person would buy insurance for maybe $800. And the difference, that marginal difference, forces a lot of our young people out of the market and doesn't let us get the benefit of insuring those young and healthy lives. Families, it's worse. I mean, a family in New Jersey pays on average, and I'm going to try to get this right, a little over $10,000 a year on the individual market for your basic health insurance. In Pennsylvania, it would be closer to $5,500. And that gap makes a big difference to people and their budgets. You know that. Small employers in the state suffer from the same pressures. About 75% of our small employers in the state provide health insurance to their employees. Rich Fleischer, we talk about this all the time. He used to have a terrible time getting insurance for his employees. And you either have experienced it or you know people who experienced the challenges of small employers. Just 4 years ago, 75% of small employers in New Jersey. Just 4 years ago, 92% of small employers in New Jersey provided health insurance to their employees. We're losing every year a number of small employers who just can't afford to pay these premiums every year for their employees. So we've got a real problem in the state with respect to how we cover and how we insure our citizens. About 1.4 million New Jerseyans don't have health insurance right now. So that was an issue that I wanted to talk about, think about, and move on when I got elected to the legislature. And one of the first bills that I wrote was called the New Jersey Healthcare Choice Act. And you might have heard this in the presidential election. It was a very similar measure as part of John McCain's platform. Quite simply, the Health Care Choice Act would allow New Jerseyans to buy health insurance across state lines, so that those less expensive Pennsylvania policies that I was telling you about would now become accessible to New Jerseyans. You could buy that from Wayne, call up an agent in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania. The insurance company could even hire agents in New Jersey and have them sell policies to you that are approved in Pennsylvania. So all those consumer protections regarding the amount of money a company has to have, or the grievance procedures would be required to be kept here in New Jersey. So maybe I've gotten ahead of myself. The bill would allow health insurance policies that are approved in other states. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Insurance has approved the policy. The company could then come into New Jersey, apply to the New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance for approval for sale here, and the only requirements or the only regulations they have to live up to in New Jersey would be those consumer protections that we're talking about. The adequate reserves and the grievance procedures, that would all stay in New Jersey. So New Jerseyans would keep their protection, but what they would not have to buy are all the mandated coverages and all the rating regulations in terms of community rating guaranteed issue. That would not come with the policy across the border. The idea, and now the Healthcare Choice Act would allow individuals and small employers to go out of state and find those policies. If they're approved in New Jersey, they can buy them. And you've seen how much money an individual can save, or even a small employer can save. I thought it was a good idea. I introduced it. I got some support for it, and it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of a common sense measure, to my mind. In May, the Wall Street Journal seized upon it and editorialized on it and very approvingly said, this is something New Jersey needs to do. And we're surprised it's coming from New Jersey, but hey, this is a really good thing. For a change, good policy was coming out of New Jersey, and we were getting attention for some of the good things we were doing. To my pleasant surprise, that editorial led a couple of other newspapers around the country to editorialize, urging their state legislatures to pass the same, introduce and pass the same measures. Small papers in Illinois and California. I'm not sure of any other states that did. I might be forgetting them. But they editorialized, kind of stealing the Wall Street Journal's points, and said, hey, this is something the Illinois legislature should do. This is something the California legislature should do. My legislative office has been contacted by state legislators in California to help them develop a California Healthcare Choice Act. So it's an idea, and there are as many as 6 or 7 states in the country who have this in their state legislature, and they're trying to move it through the legislature because they see the common sense value of it. We continue to promote it, and we continue to get support, and I was really encouraged by all of that. But I didn't realize how good of an idea it was until this past summer, when economists from the University of Minnesota, they focus on healthcare, and they do what economists do. They make assumptions, they do models, and they do all the math, and that's above my pay grade, to paraphrase another politician. And what they did was they modeled what the country would look like if there were no barriers to interstate purchase of health insurance, to healthcare choice. If every citizen in every state could choose which state they were going to buy health insurance in and buy whatever policy they wanted. And a very interesting finding came out of that study. They found that no state in the Union would benefit more from a regime of healthcare choice than New Jersey. They estimate, and they have a range, but as many as 49% of our uninsured, 700,000 people, would buy, not could, would buy